So let's take that to someone who was just with the migrants flown to Martha's Vineyard just this very morning. Marian Albert is a staff attorney at Lawyers for Civil Rights. Here with us as well is immigration attorney Alan Orr, a former president of the American Immigration Lawyers Association. I'm very glad you're both here. I'm still a little bit stunned by the map that was put on the screen. This idea of a red line from Texas to Massachusetts, purporting to tell people, here's where you're going. But the bigger question I think people have, aside from the optics of this, I want to start with you, Marian, here, because you were on the ground in Martha's Vineyard. You've spoken to many of the people who have actually been transported this way. I wonder what the impression they had as to where they were going and why they were there. Do you have any idea?
Yes, Laura. Well, actually, Lawyers for Civil Rights has been on the ground at St. Andrew's Church since yesterday morning, including myself. And what we're hearing from folks on the affected individuals is that, they were induced. They were told promises that they would find employment, that they would find permanent housing, that this whole ordeal would not affect their immigration proceedings at all. And as you were mentioning earlier, many people were told that they were going to one location, and really halfway through the trip, they were told that they were actually headed to an island off the coast of Massachusetts. I think it's a little disingenuous to expect people who have just set foot on U.S. Soil to know the geography of the United States, such that they were, entering through the U.S. border in Texas, and that they should be expected to know where Massachusetts is, and even more so where Martha's Vineyard is.
I mean, even a part of that point, Alan, I mean, we think about this, there is a process. I mean, there is a whole field of law, obviously, you specialize in, and we know this quite well at immigration law. There is a whole process by which when somebody is arriving, particularly as an asylum seeker, the idea of the responsibility to have to appear for court hearings, going through the process, the idea of having to be in the location they're supposed to be in, all the things are happening. What are the risks that you see of having the people who've entered this way in this process transported to areas they might not be able to leave from without the assistance of the government?
Right. So this is a complete system failure, because what we've already heard is that actual border control put false addresses on their notices to appear, which are the documents that tell the courts where they're located to communicate to these individuals to follow up on their cases. So that's error number one on a federal level. And then moving them to jurisdictions away from where they supposedly should be, or even the location they came in, removes them from the legal providers that are able to help them sort of matriculate through the system. So it's a very bad thing, because when they don't show up in court, their case is dismissed and they're removed in absentia, and it's very hard for individuals who don't speak English. That's very important, that their primary language is not English, and it may not be Spanish in many cases, to be able to matriculate through the system without legal representation.
An important point, Marian, on that notion, the idea of it seems as though it's setting up for failure for a variety of reasons. If they have the wrong address, they can't be communicated with, they don't know the process when they're getting here, they're going to eventually have a deportation warrant issued, and then if they fail to appear, then their chance of being able to maintain the legal process may be fatally compromised. And on that point of the language barrier that might exist for some who have come, do we know if the paperwork they were handed that told them about where they were going according to the governor, was it in English? Was it in Spanish? Do we know?
The information that they received was predominantly in English. And just to the point that you were saying earlier, I do want to add that that was especially alarming because many individuals were given a sheet or a form to request an address change, but it was the wrong form to begin with. The form that they received was to change their address in immigration court, and that's something that these individuals don't necessarily need at this juncture in their immigration proceedings. So that was extremely alarming and disorienting for a lot of these individuals, in addition to the fact that they have a language barrier and that now they're like hundreds of miles away from the office that they were supposed to attend these check-in appointments and all of these hearings.
So what does that mean in terms of possible, if any, legal exposure for those who have facilitated this process for them to be transported? I mean, Alan, I think about the ways in which obviously there's a political discussion that's happening. The lawyers within, of course, think about, is there any legal challenges that could be mounted against this process? Are you seeing any red flags here that would signal to you that a law may have to be investigated as being broken?
Yes. And at first I want to say this issue is bigger than the 50 people in Martha's Vineyard or the couple of hundred that were presented before the vice president's home. We're talking about 9,000 immigrants so far that have been shipped out of Texas alone. So it's a big global problem, a national problem for us to sort of address. And actually a global problem because these individuals are nationals of other countries that we should not treat foreign nationals that way. So there are lawyers who are looking for individual relief based on a U visa, which is trafficking. There are also lawyers who are saying that this violates our civil rights laws because they're specifically targeting foreign nationals and specifically people of Hispanic origin during National Hispanic Month. As well as we've already seen the Abbott program of the Lone Star Enforcement Program, their own immigration system that they set up in Texas under review by the Department of Justice. What we see now is this attack on federalism and the way that immigration has been administered in this country for years.
Marion, Albert, Eleanor, we'll have to see what happens next. Of course, you're right. This is much bigger than the individual cases we're seeing from this week alone. This is a growing problem.
Correct.
And political and otherwise. We'll have to see what happens. I certainly don't want this to be the continued reflection of who we say we are.
Right.
Marion, Albert, Eleanor, thank you so much.